Of course, this morning, as the president says, ongoing negotiations between the U.S. and China in Europe have, quote, gone very well. And the Treasury Secretary saying that a framework has been reached for TikTok. Still waiting for some readouts, though. Let's get Megan Casello on this story. Hey, Megan.
Hey, guys. Good morning. So that's exactly right. The president making those comments earlier this morning on Truth Social, where he also mentioned he'll be speaking with President Xi on Friday of this week. He said their relationship remains a very strong one. It does appear that we'll have to wait for that call to get more details on the TikTok deal. Secretary Bessent told reporters in Spain this morning that the framework is for the company to switch to U.S.-controlled ownership, but that Presidents Trump and Xi will have to confirm the details.
We believe we have an agreement. It's just subject to the leader's approval. So if you need to extend it by some period of time just to get it signed, et cetera, that's one thing. But we're not going to be in the business of having repetitive extensions. We have a deal. If there's some extension needed just to get it signed, et cetera, that's one thing. But there's just no ongoing extensions.
It would not have been extended without a framework.
The biggest question now, guys, in my mind is whether the leaders might meet in person later this year and whether they would do it either on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea or whether Trump would go to China. So getting a TikTok deal was seen as one major precursor to even letting that meeting go forward. But it's not the only friction that's outstanding. They're sort of piling up now. There's those new accusations against NVIDIA this morning, with China saying it violated anti-monopoly laws. There's 2 new Chinese probes into U.S. semiconductors over the weekend. And then the U.S. on the other side added 24 Chinese companies to a blacklist last week and has been actively urging allies to put tariffs on China over Russian oil purchases. So a lot for them to work through before any sort of meeting gets locked in. Guys.
Megan, as I sort of discussed earlier, I've been following the TikTok saga for more than 5 years now. It was over 5 years ago, August of 20, when we first had the potential ban under the then Trump administration. I believe that's right. And who the buying group may be. But, do we know? We don't know yet what the Chinese have to say about whether they've reached a framework, correct?
That's right. We'll hear from them at 11 a.m. Eastern. So just a little under an hour from now, we're going to hear from the Chinese side. And you're right that it's interesting that they came out to say they believe they have a deal. But again, they're using this fuzzy language of a framework of a deal, and they're not giving us the details. And they're saying we probably have to wait until Friday. That means we have to get some sort of temporary extension since the next deadline is Wednesday before the leaders even speak on Friday. Then they have to confirm the details. So we really don't know yet where this is going. All we have primarily is the president's post saying they believe they have something together.
Yeah, and Bessent as well. I mean, again, I don't know exactly who's part of this potential buying group, but there's also been an expectation throughout this that a TikTok deal would really come as a part of an overall deal, and that the Chinese would not be willing to allow the algorithm to change hands without that. But this would seem to say that was an incorrect assumption.
We don't know that yet. I think we have to see how much else comes out. What Bessent did say is that TikTok was the primary focus of the talks this week. It was a relatively quick round of talks compared to some of the previous rounds, that they weren't focused as much on trade and tariffs and export controls as they were just on TikTok this time. My read of it is that they felt like they had to at least get a framework in place before they would even keep going with China. But we're in this stage now with these frictions piling up, as I said, where both sides are kind of posturing and trying to play hardball ahead of a summit because they both want to go into it and come out of it looking strong, looking like they got something concrete and some deliverables. So you're absolutely right that China, I don't think, will agree to any sort of meeting, let alone a broader deal, unless not only maybe they're giving something up on TikTok, but what are they getting in exchange? It might be more sales of NVIDIA chips or other chips or something like that. But I think we will have to see more U.S. concessions in exchange.
Right. So one of the questions is who would be the buyers group on TikTok. I guess the other one is, will it address the national security concerns, which Congress had, which voted to force the sale to begin with over who controls the algorithm in the U.S.?
I think we'll get a lot of reaction of that once we figure out who the buyer is. Bessent did say pretty clearly that it would be U.S. ownership, or that's at least his understanding and how he described it. To me, that suggests that would satisfy the majority, at least, of the concerns that we've seen. It's been kind of fascinating this year to have started the year with a Supreme Court ruling saying this needs to be done, this needs to be sold, and yet we've still seen so many extensions and not a lot of noise made about it in the meantime. But if it is U.S. ownership, that's ultimately what lawmakers and others wanted to see. So again, we don't know who the buyers are, but as long as it's in U.S. hands, we don't know what the Chinese are finally are getting in order to finally give that up. But that would at least move the ball a little bit more forward.
Hey, finally, Megan, while we have you, this post from the White House account and the president last night saying he didn't want to frighten or disincentivize investment by outside manufacturers. It read a lot like a response to the upset South Koreans who landed home from Hyundai.
Absolutely. I thought that was fascinating and sort of a continuation of the discussion we were having last week about Hyundai, that there has to be a way, if they really want the companies that they've been asking to invest in the U.S. to come here and build their factories. We've been talking about how companies want to send their expertise, their knowledge base here in order to make sure the factories get off the ground in the way they want them to, that there might have to be some sort of a special visa embedded in each of these trade deals, at least on a temporary basis, to make sure that that happens. We heard Lutnick talk about it a little bit on CNBC last week, and then to see that post from the president suggests they really are moving in that direction, because as we discussed before, there's just no way with the current immigration system that there would be room for enough of these workers to be here and to be here long term without being afraid of something happening like what happened at the Hyundai plant last week.
Right. Megan, thanks. That's a lot. Megan Casella covering all kinds of trade for us today. Thank you.